Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Rashed and Christion here, back with the 4F podcast. And today's episode is about real estate investing, raising private capital, and building wealth through real estate.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let's start talking about OPM. So what is OPM, Rashed?
OPM is using other people's money.
Other people's money.
It's
what you got to do if you want to scale.
That's what you got to do if you got to scale. Because honestly, guys, you got to understand with real estate, after you buy so much on, your credit and everything like that, the banks are going to end up telling you, hey, your debt to income maxed out, bro.
And what your debt to income ratio is the level of debt in terms of how much income you make as a percentage. So if you make, let's say, $1,000 a month, right, for an easy number, and your total debt payments are $500 a month, well, 500 is 50% of 1,000, so your debt to income ratio would then be 50%.
Right.
Banks usually won't lend to you if you're above 45%.
So that's the thing. Like, you gotta understand that if you might be able to pull off 2 or 3, maybe, just depending on the price of the house and everything like that. But once that comes as a factor, you're gonna have to think about alternative ways to buy real estate. What's that book you sent me about Pace Morby?
Yeah, so Pace Morby, he does only seller financing.
Yep.
And seller financing is no bank involved, essentially, until later on. So first off, what you do is you connect, let's say Rashed has a property for $100,000.
Right.
And he wants to sell it, but he doesn't want to put it on the market. Or maybe he's thinking about selling it. Well, I would hit him up. Hey, Rashed, will you sell me this house? I will give you, let's say, 5% down, or maybe no money down, but I'll give you the entire house payment in, let's say, 5 years, right? So I would make monthly payments on it, and then at the end of the note, the entire payment amount would be due. So the reason why someone would want to do that, for example, let's say I did 0% down, which most banks you're going to have to do a little bit down most of the time. So I do 0% down and I do a 5-year note, right? That means I have 5 years to come up with this money.
Yeah.
Let's say the house is worth $100,000, but the after repair value, what I think it can be worth is $200,000, right? Okay, so let's say I throw in 20 grand into it, renovations, right?
Right.
Let's say it appraises for $200,000. Well, now I can get that 125 I put in. I can pay Rashed his 125.
Yep.
And now I get that money, and then I don't have a note.
You don't have a note, yeah.
But I have an asset now.
You have an asset, and that's the thing you can do by just doing untraditional ways of getting real estate. Cause like I said, it's a lot of different ways. You got your wholesale, that's a way to acquire capital as far as that. Then you got your seller financing, you got lease options. There's a lot of different ways you can get some property and everything like that. And honestly, bro, like, I recommend, like, with that and everything like that, I recommend you guys getting into that, because real estate is a great long-term play. You need that. That's how most millionaires are made to real estate.
Oh yeah, most.
Yeah, so if you could, like, also, talk about what you and your buddies are doing. You're trying to raise private money together and everything, to get properties and all that, and explain the importance of that. Like, just getting a group of people together and y'all can, like, go get a property like that.
Yeah, so one of the most important skills you can have as an entrepreneur is the ability to raise capital.
Facts. With anything.
Because it gives you leverage.
It gives you leverage.
You cannot have a successful business without raising capital. Like, I'm sure there are exceptions to everything.
Yeah, of course, there's always 1% of people that can do it without having to do it.
But you got to raise capital.
You got to raise
capital.
So
what we did right now is we actually got an offer on a property right now. We're just waiting on the seller to accept it. We structured a deal to where I went and I found a private investor, engineer buddy, and he's bringing in 20 or 30K into the deal for renovations. And I'm just bringing forward the down payment on the house. Right. Me and my buddy Josh are bringing forward the down payment on the house. So we're leveraging our expertise, our knowledge, our skills, all these things. This is his first deal.
Wow.
The buddy is bringing in the capital.
His first deal.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to find somebody that has money they're ready to invest. They just might not know what to do exactly.
Yep.
You educate them. You tell them the steps. You're transparent with them. a really good book. It's called Raising Private Capital by Matt Fairclough. And he goes into depth on a lot of these things. But the way we're structuring this deal is the seller had it on the market for $137,000.
Right.
And he actually was willing to do seller financing. So we were going to do seller financing. And then he lowered it down to 125 and says, okay, for 125, I got to do all cash. So obviously, right now we don't have 125,000 cash to throw at a property right now.
Right.
So what we did is we're going with a hard money lender. What that means is this person is going to give us the cash at a higher interest rate.
Right.
It's actually 15%.
I know.
But what we're going to do is this renovation should only take 3 weeks. Let's say it takes 6 weeks. Let's say it takes double the amount of time.
Right.
Well, that means we're only paying 15% for 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks, yeah.
And of course, there's a few points up front, which means there is a few percentage points of the total cost up front.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. But it's only 15% down.
Yeah.
Instead of 20% down.
Yeah.
So at the end, we'll have a few $1,000s in interest costs. But what we're going to do, so, we pay cash for the property with the hard money loan. Then we renovate it. We refinance it.
Right.
And then we get the amount that we put in back. And we pay off the hard money lender.
Right.
And now we have our only loan is at a lower interest rate because we refinanced it with a traditional bank.
Right.
Now we have a asset and we have a renter in place. The note's covered. And we're going to do a Section 8 with this property.
Section 8.
What Section 8 is for all the rich people out there who don't know, for all the wealthy kids who don't know what Section 8 is. So literally all Section 8 is the government actually just backs your rent.
Yeah.
So they bring in a tenant and they pay 70% of the rent and the tenant pays 30%. So in Huntsville, the Section 8 rate for a 4-bedroom house is the lowest it is $1,995, so $1,995. There are zip codes in Huntsville area that the Section 8 rate for a 4-bedroom is $3,200 a month. Yes. They actually just updated April 1st. They just updated the Section 8.
Wow.
And so the pros of Section 8 are you have backed by the government.
Backed by the government. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, you have a lot higher probability of getting paid. Let's say.
Less risk.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the cons are it attracts, so it's low income tenants, and low income tenants have a higher tendency to not pay rent and to pretty much damage the property and things like that.
Of course.
So, but the thing is though, it's a lot higher rent than we would get if we were just putting it on the market to a non-Section 8 tenant. This same property in this area would only rent out for a max of $1,500 a month.
Right.
But the fact that we're doing Section 8.
Section 8 gets y'all that
$2,000
pretty much.
So we're getting an extra $500 a month essentially. We're going to split the rent 3 ways. Okay. And of course we formed an LLC for this property specifically. Business bank account. Yeah. We're going to have a 10% vacancy reserve, which means that 10% of the rent is going to go into a reserve fund to cover vacancies. And then another 5% is going to go into a fund to cover damages on the property and things like that.
Wow.
So we're going to split the cash flow. It should be a conservatively minimum of $150 a piece. But we're not putting very much up front at all.
Y'all really not putting that much up front, and once the hard money gets paid off, y'all really not really in that.
Exactly. And then it's going to be a quick turnaround, so we can do this again in a couple months.
That's what I'm saying.
I've already got another high salary earner buddy who is going to be willing to throw in another 20 or 30K onto another deal, and we just rinse and repeat. This is called the BRRRR method.
Yep.
Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat.
Yep.
So if you can do this twice a year, which we're going to try to do it more than that. I would like to do it once a quarter, so 4 times a year. So let's say you just do it twice a year for 10 years. Well, then you'll have 20 properties. Let's say those properties average at the end of 10 years, $250 in cash flow a piece. They'll average a lot more than that because you'll be paying off the note. Let's say conservatively $250 a piece though. Right. So $250 times 10 properties, 20 properties,
Mhm.
because 2 properties here. 250 times 20 properties is $5,000 a month in rent, conservatively. So that means in 10 years, you can have 20 properties if you know how to raise capital and structure deals.
Yep.
So, and bro, you can do zero down. You don't have to bring any money forward.
You really don't.
Is the thing. If you do seller financing,
yeah, you have to bring money for it. It's just about your communication skills.
It really
you communicate and get
Your
him to understand your vision and understand. Look, I'm gonna get paid. You gonna get paid.
Yeah,
and we're all gonna win this situation.
And of course, have a cash reserve in case things
have
don't
a
go
cash
well.
reserves. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a really good podcast and book called The Lifestyle Investor. On his podcast, he talks about he brings on a guy that built millions and millions of dollars of real estate portfolios only doing seller financing and doing no money down on every deal.
No money down to every deal.
Every deal, bro.
Dang,
so what that looks
that's
like,
insane.
his first deal was a duplex.
Yeah.
He actually hit up the guy. He ended up doing zero down on this duplex, bro.
That's great.
Did some renovations to it, renovated it, did a cash out refinance, and then paid off the seller. And now his new note is the only thing he has to pay. So you really don't. And Pace Moresby talks about that too.
Yeah.
He has good content out there. I haven't listened to a lot of his content, but everyone tells me about him.
Yeah.
But I know his concept.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other questions or anything about?
So if you're trying to, as a man, trying to get to like build connections and find these people, what would be the first thing you would do? Like you just starting out, like, man, I want to start getting some private capital because I don't have the money myself. So how do I go find these people that do?
Open a book. There's many books out there. Raising Private Capital, Matt Faircloth, anything Bigger Pockets related.
Yeah, they good.
Learn first, because if you go to a person that has $100,000 ready to invest, like I have buddies that have that. If you go to them and you don't know what the heck you're talking about, they're not going to invest with you.
They're not going to invest with you, bro.
It's about knowledge, education,
confidence,
and knowing what you're talking about, the ability to lead, the ability to have a vision, and to put things together. Because a lot of these guys aren't going to want to do a lot of the work. They're going to be passive investors.
They're going to be passive investors, and you just got to be very knowledgeable on what you got going on.
Exactly.
Like knowing how to structure everything so he doesn't have to do
exactly.
about it.
And like for this deal, we're bringing everything together.
Yeah.
We literally put everything together, which is thousands and thousands of dollars of experience and value there.
Right.
So you have to add value to yourself.
Add value to yourself.
If you want other people to see value in you.
Facts.
Because people aren't going to see value in you if you're not adding value to yourself. Not everybody's your grandmama. Your grandmama thinks you're the greatest thing in the world no matter what you do. Investors don't think that way.
They don't think that way.
So learn, go to meetups, real estate meetups. Start your own if you're in a city to where you don't have one.
Yeah,
we have our own meetup.
Yep.
You just go on the meetup app and
start your own meetup. Start
a
meetup. That's all you got to do, and just make these connections, guys. All you got to go out there, just learn as much as you can. Be confident, and just pitch what you got to them. And I mean, over the time and everything, you'll make connections and everything. Like I said, you'll get to the point where you can do that. But it's definitely I would say it's a good thing to do is just raise some private capital. Because private capital, that's the way you know, Grant Cardone.
Oh yeah,
that's what his whole business. Cardone Capital.
Yeah, that's the only way you scale.
The only way you're gonna go to the next level is by raising.
What do companies do?
They scale. They get investors to invest in them.
That's
how the stock market works.
You
get people that believe in you to invest money into your company so you can grow it. That's right. It's
gotta be your own business.
Gotta be your own
business, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right though, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that. That's a really it gets advanced in that, but that's a base level introduction, like Bird method, other people's money and all that kind of stuff like that. And those methods can really help you expand your real estate, portfolio and everything like that and build something great in life.
Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't risk more than you can afford to lose. And you'll be good to go. Learn. There's so many methods out there. Airbnb.
Yep.
All these different things. Long-term rentals. The Burr method. Go and learn what these things mean. Add value, and you'll be good.
Well, all right, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. It's Rashed and Christion here signing off. You guys have a very blessed rest of your day. Peace.